Well, hello guys. Now we're going to take a look at perfect competition. So today, the big question that we'll try to answer is why is normal profit being made in the long run in a perfectly competitive market? And to solve this problem, we have to understand what is normal profit, and we also need to see what's going on in the short run. So since this question is fairly complicated, I decided that I would cut this lecture into two parts. First of all, since we're talking about perfect competition, it'd be nice to remind ourselves about the characteristics. So noting that what we're looking at here is an idealized world. There's no 100% perfectly competitive market in reality, but the model that we're going to present today might provide you with a general idea of the situation where there is an infinite number of players in the market competing for the same type of business. It is also an abstract scenario where there are numerous buyers and sellers competing together in one single market, selling and consuming extremely similar products and services. And you can see those products and services as perfect substitutes. In other words, buyers are indifferent towards these products because they're so similar, and they might not be able to realize any sort of product differences. You can imagine maybe a market for grain or maybe a market for some sort of veggies. They all look pretty much the same, right? So if you go to Whole Food with your mom and dad on the weekends, I highly doubt that you can tell the differences between lettuce produced by one farm from the other. So the idea is that the market for produce, they get pretty close to identical products or services in a perfectly competitive market, okay? Since the products are similar, the firms are price takers, which means that they don't have the ability to set the price. As you think about it, so consumers would prefer a lower price, and if you're the only one that drives the price up, it is only going to lose the demand for the products. So last week, one of the students asked, if consumers love cheaper stuff, how about setting the price lower? So in a perfectly competitive world, it is going to hurt your business since you will not earn as much revenue with the lower price. So firms are passive. They don't have a choice, right? They take whatever the price is given from the market. So the only thing that they are able to decide is their quantity. And perfect competition also assumes that producers and consumers have perfect information. It means that all the buyers and sellers in the market know what's going on in the market completely. So this information includes what goods or services are selling for what price level, the quality of it, and also who is selling to whom in this market. For producers, they will know the technology, the cost, and price in the market. So, as we have already mentioned, this is an abstract state because in reality, you can't really get everyone in the market to know everything. That is a little bit too ideal. And next, we would like to assume that there's no barriers to entry or exit. But again, this is just an assumption. So in the real world, any industry will have some sort of barrier to entry. To take the market for carrots as an example, they'll like to think growing carrots require perhaps no barriers at all, but it is not true. First, you have to get the land, and then you have to grow carrots, and then you have to get pesticides to prevent insects from eating your carrots or rabbits. I don't know. If you don't want to work under sun by yourself or burn your skin, you later probably have to hire some people to work on your farm. So my point here is that in almost any kind of industry that you can think about, there will be some degree of barrier, but this is an idealized notion that economists are used to thinking about, right? And lastly, just let me briefly mention here, all of the firm, they'll try their best to maximize their profit in the short run. So profit maximization occurs at marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. And you can discover the reason behind this in another video. So in a long-run scenario of perfect competition, it doesn't really matter if the firm is earning an abnormal profit or a loss. Eventually, all firms will earn zero profits over time. So let me show you the long-run picture on this graph. We see average revenue meets the lowest point of average cost, and the firm is producing at a set quantity at Q. So here, at this equilibrium, average revenue is equal to average cost. So as a result, it also indicates that my total revenue is equals to total cost, since total revenue equals to average revenue times quantity, and total cost equals to average cost times quantity. And my total revenue minus total cost is how we calculate profit. So it means that in a normal condition, firms will make zero profit because in the beginning we have already stated that the total revenue is equals to total cost. So it is the minimum reward necessary to keep factors of production in current use. So in the short run, firms might produce more than this normal profit and we'll call it supernormal profit or abnormal profit in the short run. And it essentially means that my average revenue is greater than average cost. And if we multiply the quantity on both sides, we get total revenue is also greater than total cost. So anything less than normal profit, we'll call it subnormal profit or loss in the short run, which means that my average revenue is less than average cost. And if we apply the same logic by multiplying quantity on both sides, we get total revenue is less than total cost in this case. So when we examine the behavior of the perfectly competitive firms in the long run and in the short run, we see each condition has identical average cost and marginal cost curve. And you can see that my marginal cost curve will always cross the lowest point of my average cost. So in all scenarios, firms can determine the quantity under MC equals to MR because we assume that they are profit maximizing firms. The only difference is the position of the marginal revenue curve or the price level, since that must be taken according to the market on the left, because they don't have the ability to set their price. But how is it that the firm that were in the short-run positions always end up here, where they make zero profits over time, and why does it happen? We don't have an answer for now, but we have done all the prep work to solve this problem. So I hope to see you again in our next video.